Beneath the fractured, icy crust of Jupiter's moon, Europa, lies a dark, unfathomable ocean stretching into the abyss. The Europa Submarine Research Vessel, ESRV, Poseidon, glides through this alien world, its hull creaking under the pressure of the deep. Aboard the Poseidon, a crew of 6, a mix of seasoned astronauts, marine biologists, and engineers, embarks on humanity's most daring mission to explore an extraterrestrial sea and seek out life beyond Earth. The submarine's interior is a contrast of warm, humming machinery and the cold, silent expanse visible through the small, reinforced portholes. The crew, a tight-knit group led by Captain Elena Vostrikov, operates with practiced precision, their lives dependent on their expertise and the vessel's integrity. As they delve deeper, passing bioluminescent organisms that flicker like stars in the liquid sky, they are filled with awe at the wonders of this hidden ecosystem. But their scientific curiosity soon turns to dread. Strange readings and unexplained malfunctions plague the Poseidon. The crew's excitement is replaced by a creeping sense of unease as they realize they are not alone in the depths. Something is out there in the dark, watching, waiting. As they push the boundaries of the unknown, they must confront the question, what kind of life thrives in the eternal night of Europa's ocean, and what does it want with them? As the Poseidon descends through the Stygian waters of Europa, the crew's profiles emerge from the dim glow of instrument panels and the soft chatter over the comms system. Captain Elena Vostrikov is the embodiment of command, stern yet fair, with a gaze as piercing as the ice above. A veteran of space travel, she has a reputation for keeping her cool in the most harrowing situations. Her leadership is the steel spine of the Poseidon, and her crew trusts her implicitly, knowing her decisions are as calculated as the trajectories that brought them here. Dr. Liam Sanderson, the mission's chief biologist, is a man whose passion for extraterrestrial life is as vast as the ocean they explore. With unkempt hair and eyes that rarely leave the microscope, his excitement is infectious, though his social skills are as alien as the life forms he hopes to discover. His theories about life on Europa are as wild as they are numerous, and this mission is the culmination of his life's work. Engineer Mia Tron is the heart of the Poseidon, responsible for the vessel's life support systems and structural integrity. Her hands, perpetually stained with grease, are as adept with a wrench as they are with the delicate circuitry of the sub's electronics. Mia's humor is a beacon of light in the oppressive darkness, and her ingenuity has saved the mission more than once. Navigator Dante Ruiz is the eyes of the crew, a man whose life has been spent charting courses through the stars and now the abyssal plains of Europa. His fingers dance across the navigation console, plotting their path with the precision of a cartographer. Dante's quiet confidence is a comfort to the crew, even as the submarine ventures into the unknown. Communications Officer Aisha Patel is the voice of the Poseidon, maintaining the vital link between the submarine and the distant command center on the surface. Her calm demeanor belies the intensity with which she monitors the signals, a symphony of beeps and static that she interprets with ease. Aisha's presence is a reminder of the world they've left behind, a tether to home. Geologist Dr. Henrik Larsson is the memory of the crew, his knowledge of rock and ice formations crucial to understanding Europa's secrets. His weathered face and methodical speech are testament to years spent in the field, and his hands are as rough as the samples he collects. Henrik's fascination with the moon's geology is only matched by his concern for the crew's safety as they navigate its treacherous terrain. As the Poseidon ventures deeper, the crew's routine is shattered by a series of tremors that ripple through the hull. The submarine's lights flicker, casting eerie shadows that dance across the walls. Dr. Sanderson's instruments detect an energy source unlike any geological phenomenon, a signal of life. The crew is electrified by the discovery, but Captain Vostrikov remains cautious, aware that the abyss holds as much peril as promise. The tremors grow more frequent, and Mia's diagnostics reveal disturbing anomalies in the sub's systems. It's as if the vessel itself is reacting to an external presence, one that defies their understanding of the natural world. Dante's navigation becomes erratic, the maps no longer matching the terrain they encounter. The ocean floor seems to shift, revealing structures that should not exist. Aisha's attempts to report their findings are met with silence. The comms are dead, leaving them isolated in the crushing depths. Panic begins to set in, but Elena's command keeps the crew focused on the mission and their survival. Henrik's analysis of the surrounding ice formations uncovers patterns, intentional designs that suggest intelligence. The crew is faced with the reality that they are not the first sentient beings to explore these waters. The implications are as awe-inspiring as they are terrifying. As the Poseidon approaches the source of the energy readings, a colossal shadow looms over them. An entity, vast and ancient, stirs in the darkness. Its form is indistinct, but its intent is clear. The crew of the Poseidon has awakened something that has lain dormant for eons, and their presence has not gone unnoticed. The Poseidon's journey into the heart of Europa's ocean had been meticulously planned, but nothing could have prepared the crew for the anomalies they now faced. The tremors that shook the vessel were not mere seismic events, but the stirrings of something alive, something sentient. Dr. Sanderson's instruments, which had been designed to detect the faintest signs of biological activity, were now off the charts. The readings pointed to a massive energy source, pulsating in the darkness ahead. Captain Vostrikov called for a meeting in the central hub, a cramped space where the crew could gather around the main console. The air was thick with tension, each member of the crew weighed down by the gravity of their situation. Elena addressed her team with a firm resolve. "We came here seeking life, and it seems we have found it. But we must proceed with caution. Our primary objective is to gather data and ensure the safety of this crew. Any actions we take must be deliberate and informed." Dr. Sanderson was the first to speak, his voice trembling with excitement and fear. "The patterns we're seeing in the energy emissions suggest a level of complexity that could only be attributed to a form of intelligence. We may be in the presence of a life form unlike any we've ever imagined." Mia Tran interjected, her practical concerns cutting through the theoretical debate. "Intelligent or not, whatever's out there is affecting the subsystems. We've got malfunctions popping up in critical areas. If we don't address these issues, we might not have a sub to take us back to the surface." Navigator. Ruiz studied the maps, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The terrain is changing around us. It's almost as if the ocean floor is alive. I can't guarantee our path will remain stable or that we can retrace our steps." Communications Officer Patel's report was no less unsettling. "Comms are down. I've tried every frequency, every protocol. It's as if we're being jammed, but there's no technology on Europa that could do that, unless it's not ours." Dr. Larson, the geologist, ran his fingers over the icy samples they had collected. "These formations are not natural, they're structured, deliberate. It's as if we've stumbled upon an alien architecture, a civilization frozen in time." The crew turned their attention to the main viewport as the submarine's lights illuminated a colossal structure rising from the ocean floor. It was unlike any geological formation they had seen, symmetrical, with patterns that resonated with an eerie familiarity. The Poseidon had discovered an alien edifice, a monument of a long-forgotten epoch. The energy source seemed to emanate from within the structure, beckoning them closer. Captain Vostrikov made the call to approach, her decision driven by a mixture of scientific duty and the unspoken dread of leaving the mystery unsolved. As they neared the alien construct, the tremors intensified, and a series of luminescent glyphs appeared on the structure's surface, pulsing with a hypnotic rhythm. It was then that the crew experienced the first of the haunting visions. Each member was gripped by intense hallucinations, their deepest fears and memories twisted into grotesque parodies by an unseen force. Dr. Sanderson saw his research turned against him, his body merging with alien fauna in a grotesque symbiosis. Mia witnessed the Poseidon's systems failing one by one, her hands unable to stop the cascade of destruction. Dante navigated endless shifting corridors, losing himself in the labyrinthine depths of his own mind. The visions were a message, a form of communication from the entity that dwelled within the structure. It was ancient, powerful, and utterly alien in its conception of life and intelligence. The Poseidon had intruded upon its domain, and the consequences of that intrusion were only beginning to unfold. As the crew struggled to maintain their sanity and the integrity of their vessel, they realized that their mission had changed. No longer were they explorers of the unknown. They were survivors, fighting against an alien horror that sought to consume them, body and mind. The Poseidon's descent into the abyss of Europa had been a journey from the light of human knowledge into the shadow of the unknown. The crew, once confident in their mission, now faced the reality that they were not the pioneers they had believed themselves to be. The alien structure before them was a relic of an intelligence that had existed long before humans had even conceived of the stars as suns to other worlds. Captain Vostrikov, her face a mask of stoic determination, called for the crew to focus. We need to understand what's happening. These visions, they're not random. They're targeted, a form of communication. We have to decipher their meaning. Dr. Sanderson, his usual fervor dampened by the haunting images that plagued his mind, nodded in agreement. The structure is acting like a neural interface. It's tapping into our brains, translating its thoughts into something we can understand, albeit in a disturbing manner. Mia Tran, ever the pragmatist, was more concerned with the immediate threat to the submarine. Our systems are being compromised. Whatever this thing is, it's like it's trying to merge with the Poseidon. We need to establish a barrier or we'll lose control completely. The crew set to work, each member fighting to maintain their focus as the entity continued to assault their senses with nightmarish visions. Mia and Dr. Larson worked to reinforce the submarine's electronic defenses, creating a makeshift Faraday cage around the control systems. Aisha Patel, though cut off from the outside world, recorded every detail of their experiences, her logs a testament to their ordeal. Navigator Ruiz, his mind a whirlwind of maps and memories, attempted to chart a safe course away from the structure. But the ocean floor was alive with movement, the terrain reshaping itself as if to corral them towards the alien monolith. As the crew labored against the odds, the entity intensified its efforts to breach the Poseidon's defenses. The submarine shuddered under the strain, the sound of groaning metal a grim harmony to the chorus of alarms. The crew's visions grew more vivid, more visceral. They saw the entity's memories, worlds consumed by ice, civilizations it had encountered, and the cold, unyielding logic that drove its existence. Captain Vostrikov realized that they were not just explorers or even intruders. They were a resource, something to be studied, used, and ultimately discarded. The entity did not hate or even disdain them. It simply existed according to its nature, as they did according to theirs. The submarine lurched as the thrusters roared to life, the crew holding on as the force threatened to tear them from their stations. For a moment it seemed as though they would break free, that they would escape to tell the tale of what lay beneath Europa's ice. But the entity was not done with them. It lashed out with tendrils of energy, wrapping around the Poseidon like the coils of a monstrous serpent. The visions reached a fever pitch, the crew's minds filled with the entity's purpose to spread, to consume, to survive. In a final act of defiance, Captain Vostrikov ordered the release of the nuclear core, a desperate gambit to disrupt the entity's hold on them. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of the ocean, but its light was blinding, a star born in the depths. The resolution came in the aftermath of the chaos. The Poseidon, crippled but still intact, drifted away from the alien structure which had been damaged by the blast. The entity's grip on their minds faded, the visions dissipating like nightmares upon waking. The crew was left to contend with the damage to their vessel, the loss of their communication with the surface, and the knowledge that they had encountered something beyond the scope of human understanding. They had survived, but at what cost? Dr. Sanderson looked out of the porthole at the retreating monolith, its glyphs dimmed but not extinguished. It's still there, he whispered, "and it's not alone." The crew followed his gaze, seeing other structures dotting the ocean floor, a network of alien sentinels waiting in the dark. As the submarine limped back towards the surface, its crew forever changed by their encounter, one question lingered in their minds. What happens when the rest of the universe learns of humanity's existence? The next story is called Green Hollow. Green Hollow, a quaint town nestled among rolling hills and verdant fields, is a place where the past and present coexist in quiet harmony. The town's heartbeat is slow and steady, a rhythm set by the seasonal work of its farmers and the daily routines of its small population. It's a community woven tight by shared history and the kind of deep-rooted connections that span generations. Sheriff Tom Bennett, a man whose family tree is as old as the town itself, has always felt the weight of his ancestors' legacy on his shoulders. He's the kind of lawman who believes in the simple power of good deeds and hard truths. But lately, the truths of Green Hollow have become hard to grasp, slipping through his fingers like shadows at dusk. Dr. Emily Harris, the town's veterinarian, has always had her eyes on the stars. Her passion for the celestial is well known, and her small observatory on the outskirts of town is a testament to her search for answers in the night sky. When the strange lights first appeared, it was Emily who noticed their patterns, who felt the first prickling of unease at their unnatural behavior. As the harvest season wraps its golden hues around Green Hollow, the townsfolk prepare for the annual festival with a fervor that's tinged with something new this year. An undercurrent of anxiety that ripples beneath the surface of their festivities. The missing persons, the odd silences at night, and the lights that dance with an eerie intelligence have sown seeds of doubt in the fertile soil of their community. The festival, usually a time of joyous celebration, takes on a surreal quality as the night unfolds. The lights return, not as distant watchers, but as harbingers of a silent cacophony that renders the townsfolk helpless. It's a sound that seems to resonate with the very frequency of thought, leaving them unconscious under the stars they once wished upon. When they awaken, it's to a reality that's been twisted and corrupted. The familiar streets and homes of Green Hollow are now infused with an alien presence that weaves through the very fabric of their existence. The town has become a laboratory, and its people specimens in an experiment of consciousness and control. Sheriff Bennett finds himself leading a group of survivors, their minds their own, but surrounded by those who have been changed. Friends and family now stare with eyes that are no longer their own, their bodies reshaped into grotesque parodies of human form. Dr. Harris's knowledge becomes their beacon in the darkness, her understanding of the aliens' manipulation of biology and technology a key to unraveling the nightmare. Together, they must navigate a landscape that is both alien and achingly familiar, seeking a way to sever the connection that binds the townsfolk to their unseen tormentors. In the heart of this transformed Green Hollow lies the hub, a nexus of alien intent where the minds of the town are being harvested and assimilated. It's here that the true horror of the aliens' purpose is laid bare, and it's here that the survivors must make their stand. The struggle of Green Hollow is not just a battle for survival, but a fight to reclaim the essence of their humanity from the cold grasp of an intelligence that sees them as nothing more than data to be collected, analyzed, and discarded. As the unnatural silence of the altered Green Hollow envelops them, Sheriff Bennett and Dr. Harris, along with a handful of other unaltered townsfolk, huddle in the dim light of the town's library. It's one of the few buildings yet untouched by the biomechanical growths that now mar the landscape. The group's eyes are wide with fear, but there's a fire of determination there too, a refusal to succumb to the fate that has befallen their friends and family. Sheriff Bennett, his voice a low rumble, breaks the silence. We can't just sit here and wait for those things to decide we're next. We need a plan, something to fight back with. Dr. Harris, her gaze fixed on a series of scribbled notes and astronomical charts, responds without looking up. The lights in the sky, the sound that knocked us out, it's all connected to the hub. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to free everyone from whatever control they're under. The group nods, the task ahead daunting but clear. They split into two teams, one led by Sheriff Bennett to gather whatever weapons and tools they can find, and the other led by Dr. Harris to study the hub and find a way to disrupt it. As Bennett's team moves through the town, they witness the full extent of the transformation. The alien influence has seeped into every corner, turning the familiar into the grotesque. They pass by the town's diner, where the once cheerful red booths are now pulsating with a sickly glow, the jukebox fused into a mass of writhing cables. Meanwhile, Dr. Harris's team approaches the hub, a towering structure that stands in the center of town, where the park used to be. It's a twisted mass of metal and organic matter, with tendrils that stretch out into the streets like veins. The closer they get, the more they feel a presence pressing against their minds, a whisper that urges them to give in, to join the collective. Using her knowledge of biology and the data she's collected on the lights, Dr. Harris begins to piece together the alien technology. It's a patchwork of organic computing, a system that operates on the electrical impulses of the brain. She theorizes that if they can introduce a surge of electricity into the hub, they might be able to overload it. The plan is risky and the group knows it. The hub is guarded by those who have been changed, their bodies now extensions of the alien will. To reach it, they'll have to confront their former neighbors, now mindless drones that will stop at nothing to protect the hub. As night falls, the two teams converge on the hub, their movements a symphony of quiet determination. Bennett's team has scavenged batteries, generators, anything that can hold a charge. Dr. Harris has rigged a device that, if her calculations are correct, will deliver the necessary surge. The confrontation is inevitable. The drones sense their approach and move to intercept. The survivors fight with a ferocity born of desperation, their weapons makeshift but effective. They clear a path to the hub, and Dr. Harris sets her device in place. The surge is unleashed, a torrent of electricity that arcs through the hub with a sound like thunder. The structure convulses, its lights flickering wildly as the power overwhelms it. The drones falter, their movements becoming erratic, and then they collapse one by one as the control is severed. The townsfolk, freed from the alien influence, awaken as if from a deep sleep. Confusion and relief wash over them in equal measure as they take in the sight of the hub, now dark and silent. Sheriff Bennett and Dr. Harris stand among their people, watching as they emerge from the shadow of control. There's a moment of collective relief, a breath drawn in unison as the town dares to hope that the nightmare is over. But as the minutes stretch into hours, it becomes clear that something is amiss. The lights that once danced in the sky are gone, but so too are the stars. The night is pitch black, the moon absent from the heavens. An oppressive feeling of confinement settles over Green Hollow, as if the town has been cut off from the rest of the world, isolated in a pocket of darkness. The survivors gather in the town hall, seeking comfort in numbers and the glow of artificial light. But as they share their experiences, a chilling realization dawns on them. Not everyone has returned. Some of the townsfolk are still missing, unaccounted for in the aftermath of the hub's destruction. Dr. Harris, her mind racing with possibilities, returns to her observatory, desperate for a glimpse of the sky she knows should be there. The telescope, however, reveals only an impenetrable blackness that extends as far as she can see. It's as if Green Hollow has been plucked from the earth and cast adrift in a void. Panic begins to take root as the isolation weighs heavily on the town. The absence of a celestial sky is more than just a loss of light. It's a loss of connection to the world beyond, a severing of their place in the universe. The darkness outside presses against the windows, a tangible force that seems to whisper of horrors lurking just beyond sight. As the days pass, the situation grows more dire. The power begins to fail. The generators they had used to assault the hub sputtering and dying one by one. The food supplies meant for the festival run low, and the town's isolation feels more complete with each passing hour. It's during a foray to the edge of town, an attempt to breach the darkness, that the true horror reveals itself. The missing townsfolk are found, but they are changed, not by the alien influence, but by something else. They stand at the boundary of Green Hollow, silent sentinels that watch their former home with eyes that glow with an unnatural light. Sheriff Bennett, his resolve shaken, realizes that the hub was not the end but a beginning. The aliens had not simply experimented on them, they had transformed Green Hollow into a living experiment, a terrarium of human behavior observed by unseen eyes. The town is a specimen jar, and the darkness that surrounds them is a barrier that keeps them contained, a quarantine imposed by a cosmic gardener who watches to see what grows in the isolation of the void. As the final lights flicker out and Green Hollow is enveloped in darkness, the survivors huddle together, their whispers a fragile defense against the encroaching silence. The town becomes a mausoleum, a testament to a vanished world and the missing townsfolk, their guardians, a reminder of the price of curiosity. This next story is called The Silence of the Stars. The endless expanse of space, a vast canvas of darkness punctuated by the distant twinkle of stars, forms the backdrop for our tale. Here, amidst this cosmic ocean, floats the spacecraft Artemis. It's a marvel of human engineering, sleek and silent, designed for deep space exploration. The Artemis, with its elongated body and reflective surfaces, cuts through the void like a silver arrow seeking its target in the unknown. The ship is a symphony of technology and human ambition, equipped with the latest in astronavigation, life support, and scientific research facilities. It's designed to house a crew for extended missions, offering a semblance of comfort in the otherwise inhospitable environment of space. The interior of Artemis is a contrast to its stark exterior, with warm lights and compartments designed to mimic the familiarity of Earth, a necessary comfort in the vast loneliness of the cosmos. The crew of the Artemis is a mix of expertise and personalities, each member handpicked for their unique skills and contributions to the mission. Captain Elena Vasquez, a veteran astronaut, commands the vessel with a calm and collected demeanor, her leadership skills forged in the fires of previous space expeditions. Dr. Liam Chen, the mission's chief scientist, possesses an insatiable curiosity about the cosmos, his intellect only matched by his passion for discovery. Joining them are pilot Maya Rodriguez, whose deft hands have steered the ship through asteroid fields and cosmic storms, engineer Leo Thompson, the heart of the ship, keeping the engines and systems running, and medic Dr. Aisha Patel, whose expertise in space medicine is vital for the crew's well-being. Each crew member shares a bond forged in training and the shared dream of unraveling the mysteries of the universe. As the Artemis embarks on its journey, the mission briefing sets the tone for their venture. The crew gathers in the main deck, the vastness of space visible through the panoramic windows. The objective is clear: to explore uncharted territories of a distant galaxy, collect data, and search for signs of life or habitable worlds. It's a mission of discovery, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and presence in space. The briefing also underscores the challenges they face: the vast distance from Earth, the isolation, and the unknown variables of deep space. Communication with mission control will be intermittent, delayed by the vast distances. The crew is reminded that they are not just explorers but pioneers, venturing into the unknown, far from the safety and familiarity of Earth. As the briefing concludes, the Artemis accelerates, leaving the familiar star patterns of the solar system behind. Ahead lies the unexplored, the unknown, and the mysteries that the crew of the Artemis are determined to uncover. In the silence of the stars, their journey begins, a journey into the unknown depths of space, where light and darkness dance in the eternal ballet of the cosmos. The journey of Artemis into the depths of space proceeds smoothly until the unexpected occurs. Several weeks into the mission, while navigating a particularly remote sector, the ship's sophisticated sensors detect an anomaly, a strange, undefined distortion in space that does not conform to any known cosmic phenomena. Dr. Chen, fascinated, suggests a detour for a closer examination, believing it could be a groundbreaking discovery. As they approach, the anomaly's effect on the ship grows increasingly pronounced. Instruments begin to malfunction, screens flicker with static, and a low, almost inaudible hum permeates the ship. Communication with Earth becomes erratic, then impossible, leaving the crew in an eerie silence, cut off from any external support. This isolation, deep in the void of space, begins to weigh heavily on the crew, a reminder of their vulnerability in the vast universe. The inability to communicate with Earth and the strange readings from the anomaly create a tense atmosphere aboard Artemis. The crew, trained for challenges, starts to feel the strain of their isolation. Small disagreements become more frequent and the confines of the ship feel increasingly restrictive. The darkness outside seems to press against the windows, a constant reminder of their solitude. The crew begins to experience unexplained occurrences. Sounds of unknown origin echo through the halls. Tools go missing, and shadows seem to move just at the edge of vision. The ship, once a haven of safety and order, now feels like a labyrinth of uncertainty. The psychological toll of these events begins to fray the nerves of the crew, with each member reacting differently to the mounting pressure. The situation escalates when Maya, during her piloting shift, reports a fleeting sighting of something outside the ship. She describes it as an entity, unlike any known space object, moving with purpose and intelligence. The crew initially dismisses it as a trick of light or a stress-induced hallucination. However, when Captain Vasquez and Leo witness the same eerie phenomenon, a shadowy form, almost ghost-like, fleeting past a window, the reality of their situation sinks in. They are not alone in space. The entity, whatever it is, seems to be observing them, its intentions unknown. Fear and curiosity intermingle among the crew as they grapple with the presence of this otherworldly observer. This first encounter marks a turning point in their mission. The crew realizes that they are dealing with something beyond their understanding, something potentially beyond the realm of human experience. The Artemis, once a vessel of exploration, now feels like a ship sailing through a sea of darkness, with unknown eyes watching from the depths. As the Artemis ventured deeper into the cosmic void, the encounters with the enigmatic entity intensified, culminating in an unparalleled climax of terror and revelation. The entity, once an external observer, breaches the sanctity of the Artemis. It begins with subtle, unexplainable malfunctions throughout the ship, systems shutting down, lights flickering, and the temperature dropping inexplicably. The crew, already on edge, senses a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The air grows thick with tension, each member feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon them. One night, as the crew sleeps, the entity makes its presence undeniably known. The ship's alarms blare, waking everyone in a panic. The main control room is in chaos, screens displaying incomprehensible data. Amidst the confusion, Dr. Patel screams from the medical bay. The entity is there, inside the ship, a shapeless mass of shadows pulsing with an eerie light. In the following days, the Artemis becomes a labyrinth of horror. The entity appears and disappears throughout the ship, its presence bringing with it a bone-chilling cold. Each sighting is more harrowing than the last, revealing glimpses of a form both mesmerizing and terrifying. A creature of darkness, with tendrils of shadow and eyes that burn like dying stars. The crew, expertly trained yet unprepared for such an adversary, struggles to maintain their sanity. Claustrophobia sets in as the vastness of space outside contrasts starkly with the oppressive, haunted confines of their vessel. The entity seems to feed off their fear, becoming bolder, manipulating the environment and isolating crew members. Dr. Chen postulates that the entity might be a sentient being from another dimension, its intentions unknowable. This theory offers little comfort as the crew wrestles with the reality of their situation, trapped in space with an otherworldly predator. Captain Vasquez, determined to protect her crew and salvage their mission, rallies the team. They devise a plan to capture or expel the entity using the ship's resources. Leo works tirelessly to modify the energy systems, creating a trap that might harness the entity's energy signature. Maya, despite her fear, pilots the ship into a nearby asteroid field, hoping the complex maneuvers will disorient the entity. Dr. Patel, her medical expertise stretched to its limits, tends to the physical and mental well-being of the crew, administering sedatives to those most affected. The plan is risky, and the tension reaches its zenith as they prepare to confront the entity. The Artemis navigates the asteroid field, the ship creaking and groaning under the stress. The entity, drawn out by the chaos, reveals itself fully, a horrifying spectacle of cosmic horror. In a desperate gambit, the crew activates the trap. A surge of energy floods the ship, creating a vortex that ensnares the entity. For a moment, time seems to stand still, the entity caught in a maelstrom of light and sound. It writhes and screams in an otherworldly cacophony, a sound that pierces the soul. But the entity is powerful, too powerful. It breaks free, shattering the trap, and in a final act of defiance, it lunges at the crew. Captain Vasquez, in a moment of selfless bravery, draws it towards the airlock. With one last look at her crew, a silent goodbye, she and the entity are jettisoned into the void. The Artemis, battered and scarred, drifts in silence. The entity, along with their captain, is gone, leaving a crew shaken to their core but alive. They have survived, but at a cost that leaves each member grappling with the aftermath of their encounter. In the wake of the terror, the Artemis sets a course back to Earth. The crew is forever changed, their experience with the entity a harrowing testament to the unknown dangers lurking in the silence of the stars. Yet the aftermath of the climactic encounter with the entity leaves the crew of Artemis in a state of shock and mourning. The loss of Captain Vasquez hits hard, leaving a void in leadership and morale. The crew, however, musters the strength to continue, driven by a determination to return home and honor their captain's sacrifice. In the days following the entity's expulsion, Dr. Chen leads an effort to document and understand what they faced. The crew compiles data from the ship's sensors, personal accounts, and the remnants of the trap that briefly held the entity. They theorize that the anomaly they initially encountered was a gateway or rift through which the entity entered their dimension. The crew debates the nature of the entity, whether it was a malevolent force or simply a being acting on instinct in an unfamiliar world. These discussions, though speculative, provide a therapeutic outlet for the crew, allowing them to process their experiences and fears. With Captain Vasquez gone, Maya steps up to pilot the ship, her resolve strengthened by the recent events. Leo, working tirelessly, repairs the damage to the Artemis and ensures the ship's systems are operational for the journey back to Earth. Dr. Patel takes on the role of caretaker, attending to the crew's physical and psychological wounds. The encounter with the entity has left its mark on each of them, manifesting in sleepless nights, jumpiness, and a pervasive sense of dread. She organizes group sessions where crew members share their experiences and support each other, a crucial step in their collective healing process. As the Artemis stabilizes, the focus shifts to re-establishing communication with Earth. The crew works together, pooling their expertise to repair the long-range communication system. After days of effort, they finally succeed, and the first crackling voice from Mission Control is a balm to their beleaguered spirits. Mission Control, initially incredulous at the crew's reports, becomes a vital lifeline, providing guidance and support. The crew, once feeling abandoned and alone, now finds solace in the connection to home. The journey back to Earth is a time for reflection. The crew contemplates their encounter, the loss of their captain, and the profound implications of their experience. They realize that their mission has uncovered a new frontier in human understanding of the universe, one that is as terrifying as it is fascinating. As the Artemis approaches Earth, the crew prepares to re-enter a world vastly different from the one they left. They are no longer just astronauts. They are survivors of an encounter that will redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. The story of their journey, marked by courage, loss, and discovery, is poised to become a beacon for future explorations into the unknown.